Welcome back to the Masterclass series on business success. So welcome back, Steve, Joe, Wayne. Thank you again so much for being here. I thought we would jump straight in now to a little bit on organisational alignment that, Steve, you and I have obviously spoken a bit about in the past. Can you just explain to sort of the audience and I guess have a conversation amongst yourselves about organisational alignment and the importance of that?
Okay. So if you talk about alignment, to me, you start with strategy, which is an articulation of where you want to go. But it's more than that. So I like to define strategy as what we do today to create the future we desire. And the reason why I like that is that it ties what you're doing to where you want to be. And it says that your strategy is not complete unless you're really clear with your people and your investments about how the things you do today really line up with that. So to me, and that in itself is a differentiating thing about strategy, because I think a lot of experience is that people talk the big picture but don't see how it aligns with what they expect their people to do. So I think that would be, if I say that's a starting point, it's really that connection that's so important.
Yeah, Joe, do you want to jump onto that?
I do. I think, particularly in my businesses, I agree with Steve, we've got to start with this big helicopter view, and then we have to just keep lowering ourselves stage by stage, person by person, into accountability and execution, so that everyone walks in the door in the morning and knows why they're there and knows what they're doing and knows what they're accountable for. So the ripple effect can occur throughout the strategy to go back up through the food chain or wherever it is to get up to the altruistic result that the business wants to achieve.
It sounds simple, doesn't it? It's kind of just down to a job description, but especially in sort of the startup culture and new businesses, that's so fuzzy, isn't it? Because you start off, I suppose, as everything. You know, you're doing marketing, you're the CFO, you're the CEO, you're the assistant answering the phone. You know, you really are doing everything. Wayne, what's your experience there?
Look, I think you actually hit the nail on the head there, because the strategy in a startup environment can also be quite fluid, I think. I mean, there is obviously a common strategy that people are arming themselves towards, but because factors change all the time and circumstances change and resourcing arrangements change and rules might change around whatever it is you're doing, I think it's good to have a team around you that's adaptive to that change. And I think when we first started the business, you know, certainly we had a common strategy that everybody was behind and a vision and the values that underpinned that. But through some of the changes that we experienced, we had to have, you know, multiple strategies that underpin that people followed as well, and just happy to adapt to. I think it's important.
Sort of multiple strategies happening.
It iterates too, though. So what you're doing today will inform whether your objectives or your strategy is right or not. So it is something you ought to continually consider and adapt.
It'd be very unusual well, if someone said to me as a startup, can you give me a 5-year business plan? The answer is no, I can't, because it's just not possible to do that. But I can tell you what's going to happen in the next quarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of that, we'll tell you what's going to happen in the quarter after that.
So is that important then, being super flexible and ready to, you know, roll with the punches, if you like, and make changes where you need to?
I think it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, if you get too pinned to certain things, particularly in a vision, you're going to get caught out. You're going to get stuck, because things are just not going to work out how you believe they were in the market. And you don't know if they're going to work or not work until the market tells you, or the right people are around you, the right investors are around you, the right supporters are around you, championing the product or the service or whatever you're doing, as well as championing the entrepreneur in the journey that they're going through. So I think it's really foolish to think too long-term as far as strategy. We pull out strategy days every quarter in the business, and every time someone new joins the team, we rerun strategy. So they're up to speed day one on what we're doing. They're not feeling like the new kid on the block. I mean, you're in there for 3 days and you're part of the business.
Well, that's what I mean. We're talking about starting out, aren't we? And it sounds like the time that everyone joins your business, that's their starting out day, and it's kind of not tear it up and start again, but certainly just kind of keep re-evaluating, seeing if it works. Wayne, going into different markets, do you have to really look at this kind of thing differently, and what's the experience with that?
Look, absolutely. I think we can all sit back and do a desktop exercise on a new market, which, you know, assesses things like population size and product market fit and those types of things. Pricing and competition is an important one. We've certainly made some good decisions and some bad decisions on exposing ourselves to new markets. On the back of thinking we had a plan and thinking we had a strategy which was universal, but finding very quickly that in certain markets the product fit is just different, the culture is just different, the pricing will never work, and having to readapt that. So I think to our point on those strategies, just failing fast, making a really quick change, and then moving forward.
Yeah, it's failing fast and failing early. Steve knows my CEO, Charles Green. He'll talk about this sort of till the cows come home, really. Another thing interesting he says about markets, which I really like, is sort of go to a market. RFI's in 44 at the moment, sort of, you know, take a taxi, buy a beer, walk down a street and, you know, really immerse yourself in the market. Would you agree with that, with your experience? I know you've worked internationally sort of a lot, Steve.
Absolutely. And I think even more so, it's really understanding the customer in that market, because unless you do, you're really just, you know, you're rudderless. So you have to be there, you have to understand customers, and you have to adapt your product and your approach to what those customers expect and need.
Yeah, Joe, you're doing your sort of huge entrepreneur series across the world at the moment. I know you're matching people in, you know, America with Australia, Japan, all over the world. Tell me a little bit about your experience with markets and how you identify where to go, when to go there, why to go.
We're lucky because what we do is a very hot topic. So the nice thing is the door is open and people are walking through it.
It's my favourite topic.
Versus us having to go out and scout for business. So we do know the customer really well because I am the customer and throughout my own journey gave me the direction where to go with our own customer. But in each region that we go to, whether it be Australia, capital cities, regional and rural, whether it's Southeast Asia, India, the UK, the US, there's very distinct nuances in each of those audience, in each of those markets, even though they perhaps are all women entrepreneurs. So how they want to be communicated to might be different. The imagery and the headlines that we use might be different. The methodology of communicating with them might be different. Some want face-to-face, some want pure digital, some want a blend of both, etc. So we've done enormous amounts of research and learning on the journey to find out how each of those personas are defined, how they actually spend money and how they want to be spoken to, because they are the customer. And like Steve said, we've got to work out in the nicest possible way how to move the money from that customer's back pocket to our business with a great exchange value in the process of doing that, where everyone feels amazing.
And that's talking about people feeling amazing and sort of networking and connection. You do a huge amount in that. I've been lucky to be involved in a lot of that. Let's just chat a little bit about networking and connections. Do you want to kick off with what you do and then I'll come on to Wayne?
I think it's one of the most critical aspects to success in business, and it's the relationship building that I started 20 years ago. It's not relationships that I built last month. They've been nurtured for many, many, many years. And I have a philosophy of to give without remembering and receive without forgetting. So I always like to give first and receive second. And I know that there's a lot of favours I have tucked in my back pocket for when that rainy day comes along. But I really value those relationships. I put time and energy and effort into them, and I work out very specifically who I want to meet every year and look for those people.
Yeah, I think it's really great advice. I think I've mentioned to you all, I was at an Empowering Women's event today and we were talking a lot about the importance of networks, and Lisa Klaas, a good contact of mine, was saying, you know, she will talk to someone obviously now and create these and foster these amazing relationships, and she might not use that person, but use the relationship and what's been benefited from that for another 5-10 years. But it's so important to surround yourself with
and
that.
be the enabler for other people to meet the people I know as well.
Exactly.
You know, be generous in my connections.
Yeah, well, you've connected me to lots of people. So, Wayne, same for you?
Well, I think there's nothing stronger than some advocacy from somebody who knows somebody else who's been there or done that or used a product or something like that. So it's free, you know, it's free promotion. Facebook and Google and LinkedIn have all made a lot of money out of that. So absolutely, I think networking is critical. And you know, and playing your networks is critical. Again, to find those brand ambassadors, they're usually there to help you out. So.
And the world is getting a little bit smaller, isn't it? I mean, Wayne, you mentioned Facebook and sort of mediums like that, but it is great to be able to connect. I connect with people all over the world now, different sort of conferences I go to, and I think whereas it used to be a platform just with your friends, I actually use it quite a lot for work at the moment. Perhaps just some advice for entrepreneurs out there. I do think it's a way to, you know, it's your brand, your profile, your positioning. We will have another episode on that. But Steve, do you want to add a little bit in there?
Well, I'd just say that, you know, it's similar to what Joe said. You've got to give something before you assume you're going to get anything. So you have to be relevant. There's no point networking without some relevance. Certainly time helps, because the longer you're around, the more people you get to know. But at the end of the day, the value that you represent is a function of what you know and who you know. So to have lots of knowledge without being connected to lots of people is not the same as being well connected and having that knowledge. So it is important for us to think not just about what's in our heads, but also who we're connected with and how we help them.
It's really good advice. Listen, we've got a minute to go. It's gone really quickly. I knew it would. I've absolutely loved this. One piece of advice you'd give to entrepreneurs out there or people in business. Steve.
Okay, I'd say it's all about people. So
Okay.
take the time, as Joe and Wayne have both articulated really well, to really give people who you're going to bring into your business an understanding of why you do what you do and what's expected.
Okay, Joe?
I think for anyone starting out, there's probably a great idea inside of you that is just been sitting inside for a long time, and don't be afraid to share and talk about those ideas. And, you know, when I visualise Rare Birds and the global organisation it's become, I told every man and his dog what I was going to do, and no one ever stole the idea. So people don't steal ideas.
Yeah, that is good advice. I get told that a lot, actually. Share it and gather people's thoughts on it. Wayne?
Look, I think my advice would be it may not be the idea, but it's your belief in yourself and your ability to execute that will keep you going in the hard times.
Yep.
So that'll be my advice.
Fantastic. Listen, thank you all so much, Wayne, Joe,
Thank you.
Steve. So great to have you on the Entrepreneurs Masterclass series. That's it from me. It went so quickly. Next week we'll be talking about communication and culture, and I can't wait. Thanks to my guests for coming on, and thanks, of course, for watching. See you next week at 9 o'clock.